there's plenty of areas for all of us to grow. But if there was one decision that you can make that would make the biggest impact of your life, one area you could grow in that if you change, it would make the greatest impact on your life, what would that be? Welcome back to the Getting Better podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Wherever you're listening from, wherever you're watching from, we're just thankful that you're here and thankful that you're trying to get better with us. And always, my friend, Gage, what's going on?
What's up, Gunner, man? I'm glad to be here. I'm liking your Christmas sweater. It looks good. It's pretty festive.
You look good, too.
Little Darth Vader.
A little Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Christmas. That doesn't bring a lot of joy to the season.
I guess that's true. That is true. But, I mean, they're good movies, and that brings joy to me.
Yeah, they are good movies. This is a different conversation we don't need to have on here, but my wife has no imagination for Star Wars.
Mine either.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't. My kids at school don't.
She says it's not realistic, and then she watches rom-coms, and that's her favorite. And I don't think those are realistic either.
No. Or those are the Hallmark movies.
Yeah,
even those.
Yeah, those aren't realistic.
I just rather watch Star Wars.
It's okay. It's whatever. We have our differences. I am wearing my Christmas one. I bought this from Kohl's today for $20 because we had a last-minute idea for the pod that I think is going to be awesome. And Gage is flexible enough to work with that. What we want to talk about is our wish list, our Christmas wish list, but not just any wish list. If we have a Getting Better wish list, like if there's a wish list where we could, a wish list of things or areas I want to get better in. And the whole point of asking that question is to kind of inspire you to ask that question. I don't like using the word inspire. That makes me sound like I'm what's the word I want to use there? Not inspire.
We're just trying to promote it.
We're just trying to encourage you to ask the question, what areas in my life could I get better? I like to ask this way. If there's one area in my life that could change today, what would that one area, I'm going to restart that. If I could change one area in my life, what area would that be that would have the greatest impact on my life? And that's what we're going to get into. So maybe you can ask yourself that question. What one area that you could change today would have the biggest impact on your life? So we're going to talk about our wish list.
I can think of a whole list full.
Well, that's what this could be an hour and a half podcast, but we limited it to 2 because as I was actually like, so the way this works, we like coming up with content and we talk about stuff, and I kind of like jot down some ideas, and like this was the easiest one to come up with because I have so many areas.
I was at my lunch break. I was plotting every single one. I was like, dang man, this one too, this too.
Yeah, and I try to. I don't know. There's plenty of areas, but I try to. One of mine kind of covers a good wide branch, so maybe that's cheating, but we'll see.
And it's hard. It's almost hard to be so specific because it's like my thoughts are going about one thing, my mind gets on something else. Oh man, I gotta figure that out too. You know what I'm saying? So, but I did come up with a couple.
Which that's great because it just shows everybody, hey, we haven't arrived. We don't know.
We're not there,
but we're trying to grow, trying to get better. So, same order. We got 2 and 2. You go first. You good?
That works for me. My first one, and I think this probably would have been good around. It's good around any time, and I just want to have a renewed mind. And so, what I mean by renewed mind, when things go wrong, when things happen, or when worries come or troubles come, I just want my mind to be renewed. Right? Says I don't know, maybe Hebrews, Romans, somewhere like that.
Romans.
Is it Romans? Well, go ahead. Go for it.
Is it being?
Don't
copy the word, but instead be transformed by the renewing.
So
make sure I had you.
And that's what I want to do here. And I forgot the verse. That's why I let you do it.
Well, it's one of my favorite ones. I use in small groups a lot, but I also used it in that movie we did this past week. So,
so be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And so, when I'm thinking about renewal, that's a hard thing to do, and I think it's something that has to be done often. And so, like even around for example, election seasons, or around tough seasons, maybe when we've lost a loved one, or maybe something just hasn't gone right. And so as I look back through this year and things that have gone wrong, and I can see ways I handled it, right? And I can see like, oh man, I didn't really do it the way I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And so as I'm getting to this time where we're thinking about some things I would like for just to get better, I want to have a renewed mind. I want to have that focus and that ability to look at things from a different perspective, right? I want to be able to transform myself, right? And that's really what we're trying to do, because the who I am and who you are, man, we just want to imitate Christ. I mean, that's really it. And so by a constant renewal of my mind. And so I was thinking of ways to do that. And I think we've said this on the podcast before, but one of the ones I thought of first was, I think it's Philippians 4:8, right? It says, think on the good things, right? The things that bring you joy and peace, right? Whatsoever things are beautiful, lovely, pure, think on those things. And so that's just kind of something I'm trying to get better at. And as we're approaching the new year and even around Christmas time, I want to live with that renewed mind.
Yeah, that's always good, because there's always areas where it's like I get it wrong, and as far as the way I think or the way I approach things, and it's like, man, whether in one situation comes to my mind is me. Well, there's multiple situations, but we'll go with one of just overthinking and worrying about stuff, which usually is not a problem for me, to be honest. I'm pretty level. I'm just whatever, like it's all going to work out. But there's a couple of situations that just kind of heighten me. And if I could just have a renewed mind and renew the way I think in those moments, to think about, what's pure, lovely, all that, and focus on the Prince of Peace a little bit more, maybe I could, maybe I would have got some more sleep, or maybe it would have been a little bit better night, because I was focused on having a renewed mind. Yeah,
even like so, and this could be a whole podcast in itself. Even social media, man. The things that I see on social media sometimes, it could just be something going on in the world, or maybe something I don't like, or something that just makes me aggravated. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to see something like that and, man, go on a spiral. And I'm good at that. I'm good at going on spirals.
Like the Vols not getting a home game for the playoffs.
Yeah, so you got me started that right before we recorded, and I still ain't got over it.
I thought we were sitting at like an old man restaurant and you were just going to town.
I could have a 20-minute conversation on how Tennessee should be playing a home playoff game.
Well, we don't have to talk about it right now.
But something as silly as that can, and I'm not kidding you, that stuff can really change my mood. Even losing, coach basketball, even losing a basketball game, man, that can change my mood.
Losing in anything.
That's true. Losing in anything. And I just want to, I think part of it comes also, we've said this, I think, on the podcast before too, but taking every thought captive, right? Whatever comes in my head or whatever I see on my phone, on Facebook or X or whatever. You like how I used X instead of Twitter? That was whatever you see, man. It's just being able to see that and recognizing, I don't need that here, right? And redirecting my mind somewhere else. That's a hard thing to do. Yeah,
I think the more you're aware of it, the better you get of it. You know, they talk about, I think John Maxwell, I think he's the first person I heard say it, talk about failing forward. And I think as far as like renewing your mind, you can't get better at it unless you've done it a little bit. Like if you've had reps at it, like you learn from failure's not final unless you just sit in it. But like if you learn from it, then I can renew my mind. Then I know that, okay, this is the route I don't want to go down. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's just, because you know what? We are going to fail.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times where, I see something on Twitter or Facebook that makes me mad, right? And so, but if I can figure out how to recognize that, take it captive and learn from it, I think that'll get me better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Give us one.
All right, my first thing on my wish list for my Getting Better Christmas wish list, I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to grow in hearing God's voice, and I don't want that to sound spooky. I don't want that to sound like I don't know if you can over spiritualize things. Maybe you can. That's a different debate for a different podcast for somebody else, not me. But I heard someone say that if God really wanted to get a hold of you, could he? And if God, in 1 Kings, Elijah's going through his thing, and the fire comes, God's not in it, and then the earthquake comes, God's not in it, and the wind comes, he's not in it, there's a great wind. He's not in any of that. He's not in the commotion, he's not in the big event thing, he's not in the loud stuff, but then it says a gentle whisper. And if I'm being honest, there's not a lot of moments in my life that are open for a gentle whisper. And if I'm trying to hear God, like I want to make moments in my life where I'm available for that. Now I'm not going to act like I never do this. I'm not going to act like I'm perfect at it either. Definitely not, because it's number one on my wish list. Mm-hmm. But I want to know what God has to say. I don't want to be so busy doing good stuff where it's like I don't have time to like actually like have have a moment where if he wanted to speak to me, he could.
Yeah.
And, I believe God does speak audibly to people. There's moments where God has spoken to me. I don't even like saying that because I feel like I've heard that so abused to be honest with you. But like in his different moments in different places. But I just want to be more available. Like the whole be still and know that I'm God. I'm not still ever because it's always the next thing going on, or I have this thing to do, or if I got free time, I'm going to go do this. And it's like, even my mind, like I'm just not good at just stopping. So I just want to carve time to be available to hear God's voice.
Yeah. I've heard it said like this, it's like, if you're talking to somebody on a cell phone, and you're standing in a brick or a block building, solid block building, your reception is not going to be good, right? You're not going to be able to hear them. And so what do? Well, you get out of the block building so you can hear them, right? And so I've thought about that with myself, man, and there's times where I'm, God, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know what you're wanting here. And then I can just hear him say, well, get out of that block building that you're in, right? So you can hear me. So sometimes it's just like you said, being still, right? Instead of during my lunch break, instead of getting on, social media, it's, hey, all right, God, I got some free time and I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Just something as simple as that. I think it's a great one. Because, man, we should all want to hear God's voice, right? And you're right, it might not be audible. And I think sometimes it is abused when some people say it like that. But it's something as gentle as a whisper, like the example you used from Elijah. So, no, I think that's an awesome one.
And just like maybe if people doubt that God speaks, I believe God speaks. I believe he's a speaking God. But if you doubt that he speaks, but even if there was a chance that he spoke, wouldn't you want like a possibility of that to happen in your life, right? Yeah. I don't think anybody's like, no, I don't want the creator of the universe to speak to me. Like, I think everyone's open to like, hey, I would be open to God speaking to me. And so to me, the moments it's happened, it's been in different areas than mine. Most times when I feel like God speaks to me, it's kind of, I'm in a different area of life and it changed up my pace and my place. And, like if I'm out of town at a conference or something, and conferences don't, those aren't like, they're great because like you're focused on one thing while you're there, right? It just eliminates distractions. And so the idea for me, I think, is I got to eliminate distractions when I'm at home, right? Or, but yeah, I want to get better at hearing God's voice.
Yeah, and I was talking to a pastor one time about that, and he was telling me, he's like, all right, Gage, he's like, we all want to hear it, and he's sometimes you'll be able to hear it audibly, sometimes it'll feel like a nudge, and then he also told me, he wrote 66 books for you, right? And so after he said that, I was like, man, I guess he's right. And so I've noticed, now I'm not some great Bible reader, my disciplines are not that good in it. But in the times that it has been, right, I've read it and different things speak to me at different times. And although it's not an audible voice or it's not maybe not even that whisper, that's still him speaking, he's still speaking. And so, but I gotta make myself available for that.
Yeah. And I think the more you read God's word, the more you know it, the more you understand it, the more you understand him. The more you know him, and I know God's character because I know his word. And so like if I'm going through life, I don't have to guess what God would do in a situation because I know what he says and I know his character. And so when situations present themselves to you, you kind of know how to react because not that we're perfect, not that we always get it right because we overreact, we do stuff we shouldn't. Oh, yeah. But like I know how God, if I know what he's written to me, if I know his word, if I know his character, I can know how to navigate situations. And that's a different way of him speaking to us as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you can read in the Bible where he speaks audibly. And of course that happens, and it happens many times. Sometimes he speaks through, a lot bigger things than audibly, but, he, like you said, speaks through the whisper, man. And so sometimes I'm like, like the example you used, I keep myself so busy. I mean, every minute of my day is accounted for something. I'm either, in my free time, I'm either watching a movie, or I'm scrolling on social media. Again, keep going back to that. And then we just live busy lives. And so, sometimes that spoke to me good, what you said, because it's a reception problem for me. It's not on God's end.
No.
It's a reception problem on my part.
No, man. For me, I really believe it's just like, hey, I gotta be still, and that's probably a discipline. That's probably like the way I say it this way. I was thinking about this last night. It's like it's whatever you want more, and I want to make myself want that more than I want the other things. But I think part of that is like you got to train yourself too.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna try to do that. Oh.
Absolutely. Well, that leads me right into mine. My second one that and maybe this should be my first one. I don't know what should be my first one, but it was strengthening my prayer life. I want a deeper, better prayer life, one that's more consistent. Maybe consistent is the right word to say. One that's consistent, and hearing God's voice. You know, prayer. Obviously, you can do that. You do it through prayer. And so, as I was thinking about this, I got to figure out a way to discipline myself, right? I got to figure out a way to make it a priority in my life in the morning or just sometime throughout my day. And some of the ideas I had were something as simple as setting an alarm, just that says, all right, Gage, it's time for you to pray. Seriously. Sounds a little intense maybe, but I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. And eventually, the longer I do that, if I stay consistent in that will become my habit. And I'm sure I'll notice it's going to make, my spiritual walk and my growth a lot better. And so, the conversation we just had leads into me, I want to strengthen my prayer life.
Yeah.
Which I know is very broad. It's a very broad.
No. What I'm about to say, like, I don't think anybody's arrived at the most excellent prayer life. I don't think anybody's like, man, I'm just, I'm perfect. Right. There's some people I can think of that seem pretty dang close to me, but no, I think everybody is like they wouldn't turn down the opportunity to grow there. And same, but I'm with you. I just consistency is one. I think there's been things that have helped me in the past, and I had this conversation. Who did I have this with? I can't remember. I had this conversation the other day actually about prayer and the Pray First booklets we use at church. There's an app for it. But like over the past probably 4 or 5 years, like I've grown. I used to say I was a C- prayer, and I'm like a C+. But like just because of different resources and things, because of, they would talk about, well, just pray. And there wasn't a lot of there. And I can just talk to God. I can have a conversation, of course. But like there's prayer outlines and different things that help pray scripture that are in that Pray First book. And that really gave me some handles and things to pray while I was in my prayer time, which made it easier for me. That doesn't mean I'm always consistent with it, but that made my prayer life grow the past probably 4 or 5 years, however long we've had those books.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and you're the same as me, I have that Pray First app, and man, that Pray First app is awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It has structured prayers for you, because sometimes, so when I start praying, that's when I get the sleepiest. Just to be honest with you. Seriously, that's when I get the sleepiest.
A confession on this podcast. When I was young, when I couldn't fall asleep, I used to start praying because I didn't know how to go to sleep.
Pray or read the Bible, right? I'm just kidding.
No, I just do it. And the truth is, I think it just relaxes me.
Yeah.
I think it just gets my mind off everything else going on.
Yeah.
Which is...
And it's bad on my part. I wait till I'm going to sleep to start praying. seriously. So
God's like, I got about 20 seconds left to talk to Gage.
Let me see if I can speak to him before he goes to sleep here. No, but man, the structured prayers that the Pray First app has is awesome. Yeah. I mean, it goes through all kinds of prayers, tabernacle prayer, Lord's prayer. I mean, just all kinds of prayers. I honestly, truly, really just like the outline of the Lord's Prayer. To be honest with you,
that's what I do too. Yeah, I like that one. I think it's I think when Jesus talked to his disciples, like, hey, how do we pray like that? Right. They're asking. That's what he told them. And one, I think there's probably something powerful. If he told them to pray like that, that's probably how I need to pray.
And that doesn't mean I don't literally just say, our Father in heaven,
No.
I mean,
you go through the outline.
I go through the outline, and I just, first of all, I call him my Father first, because that's what he is, right? Yeah. And I establish that relationship, which is what the Pray First app talks about. Yeah. And then it talks about, the thankfulness, and then it goes into some of the other stuff. And I think it's just a great model.
I love that it talks about, you pray His agenda first.
Yeah.
His kingdom come, His will be
Yeah.
done. And then you can get into your stuff later. But and I think that's always a good reminder. But hey, today's not about like what's going on in my life. It's His kingdom, His will today. And that's one thing I love about that. But it gives me a structure to flow through.
Yeah.
And so, and this didn't mean for this to turn into a prayer podcast, but
No,
if you're
any podcast could turn into a prayer podcast.
if you're struggling praying, I think having an outline, because before I pray, I just get distracted. Things happen. I'll be praying for so and so, and then I'm thinking about their football game. Then I'm thinking about what time that is. I'm thinking about what's going on,
and I got to get out and check it.
And then I got to get out and check it, and then so it's easy to get distracted. But what I like about that is there's a structure, and I know I'm finished. I don't finishes in quotations for people on audio. Like I know when I get to the end of that, I've went through a structure. I've went through this, and I've kind of covered bases of like things that one, I think God wants me to pray, but two, I want to pray.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head right there. That you want to pray too.
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's what you want to pray too. Because here's the deal. For God's kingdom and His will to be done in my life, that's I want that more than anything.
Yeah, because
I've tried stuff on my own, and it doesn't go in the direction I thought it was going to go. Right, and so it's best for His direction to go first anyway.
No, yeah, I think pray. That's one way for the prayer thing, but I think no one would say no. I don't want to grow in my prayer life. Well, mine kind of tags on that one too, and my number 2 thing on my getting better Christmas wish list is I want to grow in mastering my mornings. I love alliteration. I couldn't help myself.
That's good. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I see you snuck that in there.
Mastering my mornings. What that's all about is I think my best days are when I have my best mornings. And that is prayer time. That's reading my Bible. The first 15 is what a lot of people call it. And I think that's a helpful tool. 5 minutes in worship, 5 minutes in prayer, 5 minutes reading your Bible. Now, sometimes if you're scatterbrained or ADD like me, sometimes it's like it takes longer than that because like the transition is like I'm thinking about something else I shouldn't be. Or sometimes, one goes a little bit longer than the other because maybe I'm praying a little while. I like to start out with worship though because it kind of helps me. I feel like it helps me get in the mode, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you have to do it in a certain order. I don't think God's very particular about that. I could be wrong. You can let me know. But yeah, I want to master my mornings. I think my day's better when I started that off. Even working out, I feel better, have more energy if I work out in the mornings. Like if I have good mornings, usually my days are better. Now I might fall asleep a little bit earlier, which is probably good to be honest. But if I can master my mornings, I think it bleeds over into every area of my life. I started out with God's presence. I started out with praying. I started out with reading God's word, and now everything is flowing from that. Instead of like what happens sometimes is like, man, I woke up a little bit late today. I had to scatter, get out the door, and I'll always listen to worship music in my car a lot. Like it's not so I do worship in my car. I do sing in my car. I do pray in my car. But like I don't want my relationship to be like a drive-through with God.
Yeah.
And I heard Louis Giglio talk about this in one of his books. I don't want it to be like God has this big table set out before Him, and He wants us to commune with Him and be with Him and dwell in His presence. And I'm just like grabbing a granola bar and heading out the door. Like, oh, all right, great seeing you. I love you. I'll talk to you later. I don't want it to be like that. I want to commune with Him, and I want to spend time with Him. And maybe that's more than 15 minutes. First 15 is probably a good way to start and go from there. But like, I want to master that kind of stuff in the morning because I think that's going to bleed over to the rest of my day. And part of that is me getting in bed earlier. I know that. Like, there's just so much good stuff going on in life. I hate going to bed because I'm like, but there's like
basketball.
There's good stuff. Like, it's going to sound immature, but there's good stuff on TV. There's basketball, there's sports, but also I just love being awake. Yeah. There's just people to talk to, things to do.
My wife goes to bed really early.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally just waiting up watching basketball.
But like, I just enjoy. I really enjoy life. I'm very, very blessed. I'm very thankful for everything God's put in my life. So I enjoy life. So it's like I enjoy sleeping too. But when I go to sleep, it's like I would rather be awake because there's good stuff going on. And so, but I have to be more disciplined and go to bed so I can master my mornings.
There's so much stuff that I'm trying to remember to say as you're going through the.
Sorry,
all that was good.
I just went on a big monologue.
No, all that was good. First of all, there's something important about the first thing you do in the morning. I mean, really, seriously, because that shows a little bit of priority. And out of full transparency, this is what I do first thing in the morning. After I get up, I turn on the TV, and for the past week, it's been Sports Center. I would just turn it on to Sports Center first thing in the morning before I do anything else. And I love Sports Center. I love sports. However, there's something to be said about the first thing I do in the morning being something that's to do with my spiritual walk. I mean, really, there's just something to be said about that. And so this past week, I've been trying to be a little better about that. Started a like an Advent Christmas thing, Bible plan on the Bible app, and so that's helped me.
Why didn't you invite me to it?
Yeah, I keep all mine
private.
Yeah, I always normally do.
In case you don't finish.
Because I don't do it. Yeah, it's because I don't do them. And I don't want nobody to see them. I'm just kidding. No, but there's something important about that. And then the Louis Giglio book is that "Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table." So, he's quoting a psalm. I can't remember the psalm right off the top of my head now, but where he says he prepares a table before me, right in the presence of my enemies.
Psalm 23.
Right. Is that 23? So sometimes we just overlook that, man. We overlook the table that he set before us, the feast. And I've watched the video of him doing that. And he literally has a table. Louis Giglio sets a table out and sets like the biggest Thanksgiving feast you can think of. And he's like, it's like passing by this to go to McDonald's, which I love McDonald's. However, I would not pass a feast like that to do that.
Right.
But I'm doing that when I skip over those things or when I'm just, or like you said, just kind of having that drive-by or drive-through relationship with God. And I don't want a drive-through relationship, right? I want a feast when I can sit down and he's right here with me, and I can commune with him. And there's something to be said about doing it first thing. And I just think, I mean, you cannot start a day better than that.
Yeah, and to those who are listening, like, no condemnation to you if you watch Sports Center in the morning. No, if you start your day out.
That's what I do. Sports Center and something else. I mean, news. I watch news too.
You watch the news too. Yeah. We won't say which news station.
No,
we don't want to talk about
that.
But like, no condemnation if that's how you start your day out, because that's not bad. But the whole thing is, what we're saying is, like, there's probably things better we can start our morning out with, right? And mine is usually a cup of coffee, and I'll listen to music typically. Maybe I'll listen to a podcast. I'll catch up on sports news or something. Yeah. And so I want to master that better because why? Because that's better than what I'm already doing. And I know it's better for me.
Same.
It's kind of like eating better. Like, I know that's better for me. I just need to apply it, and it'll benefit my whole life. And it'll benefit the people around me too, man. I'm sure I'm a nicer husband if I'm mastering my mornings more. My mood's way better if I work out in the mornings too.
Yeah, I've never really tried that, so I don't know. I've never tried to do that.
You don't have to. I'm saying for me,
but it sounds good. Sounds good.
I just feel energized, and I'm not trying to fit in a workout sometime later in the day. But yeah, I think just mastering that stuff is, I don't know, that needs to be more of a priority for me. That might be the number one. That and hearing God's voice, I guess they kind of go together, but like, it's so important to me. Back to the table thing. You think of feast with communing with God and hanging out with him and enjoying the feast. I went to eat recently with a bunch of friends, one for my friend's birthday. And there was 8 or 9 of us there. And it was at a pizza place. And they bring it, it's kind of upscale pizza, but like, sourdough pizza, and they bring it out, and like, it's a party, so they're just bringing out pizzas over and over and over, and you can pick what kinds you order, and it's like, it's fancy pizza, it's good. Not everybody likes that. Like, my dad probably wouldn't like it, but like, I enjoyed it a lot. And what's better than the pizzas was the community.
Oh yeah.
And so I think about how much fun I had that night, just being with people, feasting, we're laughing, telling jokes, making fun of each other, just having a good old time. Like, I'm talking, we were so loud in there, people were probably like, what is going on back there? But I picture that's how God wants us to sit at the table and commune with him. Like, just come over and eat, hang out. Like, I just want to talk to you. I want to be with you. I want you to enjoy my presence. And I think that's that's something he wants for us, and that's something I want more for myself.
And it's not like he's mad at us for the drive-through, He's not mad at us, right? He's not mad about the drive-through, but there's so much more. And there's just something so much better, man. I mean, there's just something so much better. And it's a feast at the table.
Dude, there's always more.
Yeah.
And that's what's so amazing about God is, like, there's always more for you to experience. And he's always calling you, hey, I know you have that, but hey, come on over here. Like, I have more for you. And I think as we grow, as we get better, I think we get to experience more of that.
That's all I want. I just want to experience more.
Yeah.
Get better and experience more.
Yeah. More of God, man. Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for doing the Christmas edition.
That's awesome.
Hey, if everyone's listening, first off, thank you, Gage. You're awesome. Great list of stuff to get better at. There's plenty of areas for all of us to grow. But if there was one decision that you can make that would make the biggest impact of your life, one area you could grow in that if you change, it would make the greatest impact on your life, what would that be? And so what are you going to do about it? Are you going to choose to grow, choose to get better? Because we're trying to, and we'd love for you to do the same. But thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Rate, review, all that. But until next time, keep on getting better.